Hello and welcome to another episode of the WIPdown. The WIPdown is where I talk about my favorite work in progress, or WIP, at the moment, and it is brought to you by my lovely patrons over on Patreon. They see it first, they have it for a while before I publish it over here on YouTube, and it's only possible from their support. So a huge thank you to my patrons for supporting me and making this segment possible. So if you are seeing this when I'm filming it August 1st. I probably won't have this up on YouTube for a few weeks, but if you're following me on Instagram, I'm pretty sure you know what work in progress is my absolute favorite at the moment, and that is the Illuminate by Andrea Mowry. So let's talk about it, because I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm a huge Andrea Mowry fan. I love almost everything that she puts out. Like, I want to knit it immediately. There have been a few exceptions, and I usually come around on them, and this is one of them. So the Illuminate takes Spincycle and Magpie, I forget what the base is called, but their mohair base might be called Magpie. Glow hair? No, that's Stephen West. I don't know, but I'll link both Spincycle and Magpie in the description, and also the pattern in the description, so you can check it out for yourself. But I am a huge fan of Spincycle and I love Magpie fibers, but I have learned that I don't wear mohair. It doesn't agree with me very well. We just have some issues. It's not really comfortable against my skin. I love it. I love the texture it adds. I love the glow that it adds, the illumination, if you will. But it just doesn't agree with my skin. It's not comfortable. So what I've really fallen in love with is the Surrey alpaca bases that dyers, including myself, have. And for me, it's called Cloud. So when I saw this, I immediately kind of put it out of my mind, because I knew I just didn't want to knit it with the mohair. And sometimes for me, it's really hard to visualize a yarn substitution right away. Sometimes it just needs to marinate. Sometimes I need to think about it. So I just kind of put it out of my mind, and it's also the Rhinebeck 2021 sweater, and I'm not going to Rhinebeck this year, which is fine because I'm just not comfortable with it, and I also don't have time to go this year. But there's just part of me that was like, oh, I can't knit that, I'm not going to Rhinebeck. It's just, I just had these weird mental blocks that were put there only by me. And so I really was just like, yeah, I'm just not going to knit that. And then I was watching Andrea Mowry's videos on YouTube. She puts them out every Friday. It's called I'll Knit If I Want To. And it was when she released Illuminate, and she was wearing it on the video, and I saw how it was moving on her and the ease and just how great it looked. And I was like, you know what? I do like that sweater. I do like the silhouette. It's very reminiscent of her pink velvet and her Mackworth sweaters, which I really love. I knit both of those and I loved the way that they fit me. I love a circular yoke on my body. So I decided right then and there that I was going to cast it on, and lo and behold, I had 2 skeins of Spincycle and I had 2 skeins of my Cloud base in a color that I thought would go well with the Spincycle. So what I had was 2 skeins of Spincycle dyed in the wool rusted rainbow. I bought these for the page turner shawl, and I hadn't cast it on yet, and I'm kind of glad I didn't, because I really wanted it for this sweater. So I've since bought a few more skeins so I could play with color management, which I'll talk about in a second. So I've already knit most of the 2 skeins into the sweater. And then my 2 skeins of Eloise. This is my Eloise colorway on my cloud base, which is Surrey alpaca and silk. So I cast on immediately. Like, I didn't have the needles I wanted. I didn't have anything. So I purchased the needles I wanted, but I cast it on using Magic Loop. I did the fold over neckline, which is my personal favorite, because I've had issues in the past with a lot of designers, but I've knit mostly Andrea Mowry patterns. So I've noticed that I usually knit a size 4 or 5 in her patterns, and it always is just a little further away from my neck than I would like it to be. So I do the fold over neckline to bring it in, and I did that on my pink velvet because I noticed it on my Mackworth, and I was like, oh, this is just a little wider than I would like a sweater to be. And when I decided I was going to knit pink velvet, I was like, I would like the sweater more if it was closer to my neck. So I'm going to try this method, and it worked. So I've been doing fold over necks on most of my sweaters. Since then, I think it looks really nice. And I really like how it brings it closer to my neck. So I did that, and then I just kept going. I just kind of kept going. So this is a size 5. It is a 48-inch bust. That will give me about 6 inches of positive ease at the moment, which is kind of my happy spot. I like between 6 and 10 inches of positive ease. And I really like the sweater. I inhaled too much. Coffee. Sometimes when I inhale and I'm talking really fast or talking more than I'm used to, and I inhale, it's just dry, and then I just want to cough. So I'm trying not to cough. Okay. So it has this beautiful, there are 2 charts. So you have this chart with the chevron shapes, and then you have this chart, and then you repeat the first chart. And it is so beautiful. And this is the first sweater that I've knit the entire Colorwork section with the same yarns and the same hands. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, sometimes if there are more of one color than the other, I'll put the one where there are more stitches in my dominant hand, which is my right, and the color that has the least amount of stitches in my left. It doesn't matter if it's the main color or the contrast. That's what I do. So for this sweater, I knit the contrast color, the cloud, the Surrey silk, and Eloise in my right hand, my dominant hand. And then I knit the Spincycle in my non-dominant hand, my left hand. And I really like the way that it came out, and it looks really even. I went up to a size US 6 for the Colorwork, and I just decided I liked the fabric and kept knitting all the way down. I have knit enough Andrea Mowry patterns, and I feel like I shouldn't be saying this because I'm actually very pro swatch. I think swatches are really important, but I've knit enough Andrea Mowry patterns to know to always go up a needle size or 2 in the Colorwork for me, and then at least up 1 needle size from what she calls for the body, because I'm a tighter knitter. So I did that, and I really like it, and it's like I can tell it's the perfect size, and then it's gonna block out really well. So I've knit enough of her patterns. I did an entire year where I knit a new pattern every month from her. I've knit a lot of her sweaters, so I know how my gauge versus her gauge is. So that's why I felt comfortable not gauge swatching, and I also just really wanted to cast this on. So let's talk about, I didn't do any modifications except for the neckline, and that's really the only, and Surrey silk instead of mohair. I am still holding the Surrey Silk Double. I'm pulling from the outside and the inside at the same time, and that's working really well. Those are the only modifications that I made, was the base and the fold over neckline. Let's see, let's talk about color. So I love Rusted Rainbow. It is one of my favorite Spincycle colors of all time. I think it's so fun and beautiful. And I'm really into the warmer earth tone colors right now. I'm really into burnt orange and mustard yellow and warmer pinks. And I really just kind of wanted to showcase that in the sweater. But occasionally you'll get brighter sections, and I'm not a huge like red fan. So I'm trying to keep the reds and the bright pinks kind of at bay, which is why I bought a few extra skeins of this colorway, and I know I'm gonna use it. I love it so much. But yeah, so I really wanted to focus more on the oranges and the mustard yellows with an occasional like dark spot and an occasional bright spot, and just kind of really balance it out. So I'm really playing with the yarn. I'm really kind of just letting the yarn do what it does, but when I come to a spot that I don't particularly love, I cut it out and I start again. For example, like this was too bright for me. So I just let it go. And it was the end of a skein, and I was like, that's fine. I'm just gonna start a new one. Yeah, so that's the color management. I'm really enjoying the darker barber pulley sections like this. No, I think it's really fun. So I'm really hoping to get more of that towards the bottom, especially in the hem. As far as sleeve matching, it's really hard with Spincycle because it's such a unique color changing yarn. So I'm not going to be too picky about how, let's really try not to, I'm sorry. I'm gonna not be picky about how exact I can get the sleeves. I'm going to try to keep them in the same ballpark if I can, but we'll kind of play it by ear and see what happens. I bought three skeins from Spincycle's website, and I put in my notes, it's on their website, you can request, like, they have a bunch of pictures on the side when you look at a colorway, and you can kind of be like, oh, I really like the dye lot of picture 3. I like those colors in this skein. So when I checked out, I said I really like picture number 7 of Rusted Rainbow. It's much more mustardy yellow. Not a lot of green, not a lot of bright spots. That was like my note. So I'm hoping that that works out, and then I can kind of use those for the sleeve and maybe the hem. Because I think between these two, I mean, I will get the rest of the body out. Yeah, so I'm getting there. Let's see, probably about 2 inches on the body, and I'll probably go to about 10 inches on the body. I don't know, I'm really excited to wear this over dresses this fall and winter. So that is the Illuminate by Andrea Mowry. Thank you for checking out the WIPdown, and thank you again to my patrons for making this video possible. I will see you next time. Bye.